What's going on, everyone? Joshua Jones here with Good Luck, Have Fun, Magic the Gathering, reminding you to please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and comment on these videos. Tell me what you think down below. Okay, let's jump into it. We have a deck I'm calling the Endrays. This is a legendary creature from Ravnica Allegiance, and all we want is for our opponents to not play Torpor Orb. It's Nikya of the old ways. 3 red green for a legendary creature, Centaur Druid 5/5 that says you can't cast non-creature spells. And whenever you tap your lands for mana, you're going to add 1 mana of any type that land produced. So double up your mana, except for on like your double mana things, you're only going to get 1 extra off those. So the non-creature spells doesn't matter in this deck because we're playing all creature spells, although I think you could get away with playing a few non-creature spells in a legendary deck for EDH like this. Just why bother with it? Oh, I lied to you. This is a Primal Surge deck. We'll get to it in a bit. Let's jump into our alternate commander for this deck, which is Mina in Den Wildborn, just as a way to switch it up every now and again if you want to. Mina's in the 99, and if you want to swap them out, you can. Primaries, Nikya. Alright, the foundation of the deck. We have our ramp package, so we're not running non-creatures, so all our ramp is going to come from creatures being Farhaven Elf, Wood Elves. Get you a land when they enter. Elvish Mystic lets you tap for green and then wayward to play extra lands. Sakura Tribe Elder, Burnished Heart, and Solemn Simulacrum, just the extra value to get lands into play off these dudes. Arbor Elf to untap a forest, which is extra good when that forest is tapping for deuce. Shaman of Forgotten Ways, we could add 2 mana to cast creatures, and then the Formidable we'll talk about in the Challenge Achievement Trophy. Somberwald Sage, little add 3 mana here. Then we're going into our removal with Rex Sage, Acidic Slime, and World Breaker to deal with artifacts and enchantments. Lands in some cases, but don't do that because why be mean? Then we're doing Bane of Progress, Steel Hellkite, and Whip Tongue Hydra. So just more artifact and enchantment removal, along with some ways to deal with flyers and some ways to deal with X-costed non-land permanents. Great against tokens, the Steel Hellkite, if you've never done that. Just X0 on all your fellow Krenko players. Then we got Scavenging Ooze for a little graveyard removal there, and a Meteor Golem, just non-land permanent removal. Can't beat it when you're playing green and red. You're not going to get it any other form than that, and 7 mana is not too bad when you're doubling your mana up. Duplicate to deal with one that is little non-token creature. Woodfall Primus and Terrastodon wrap it up for us with non-creature permanent removal, and then Persist is great on Woodfall Primus as well, even though we don't really have a way to abuse taking the counters off of that. Alright, next up we have the ways to refill our hands. Beast Whisperer is just absolutely absurd in this deck because we're playing nothing but creatures. Primordial Sage, same thing, but just at a little bit more of an expensive cost. Then we're running Faunen Shaman, Eternal Witness, and Dragon's Maze for a little bit more selection and to get cards back into our hand or to search for the right creature at the right time. Then we got Courser of Crewfix, which is going to allow us to play the top card of our library. So every time we play a land off that, technically, we're able to get the draws that we want. That's why I considered it in the refill category. A little bit of Magus of the Will and Green Warden and Marasa. So just some utility ways to get cards back or to play cards that we wouldn't otherwise be able to play or that we would have stuck in our hand. Then we got Ripjaw Raptor, Runic Armasaur, and Drum Hunter. So all of these have their own utility to them. With 5 or greater, you draw. With activated abilities, you draw. With damage, you draw. And then in Drum Hunter, you get a little bit of a dorkish thing there as well. We're moving on to the pack leaders, Soul of the Harvest and Regal Force, just to continue our package of drawing cards whenever we have creatures coming in, going out, and doing whatnot. Then we're going to move on to the game plan of the deck. So for this deck, we have our hasters. So we have Anger, Org Battle Driver, Ouroboros, the Hidden, and Xenaghost. Xenaghost also just pumping stuff up there, but giving a target haste, and then everything else here is just letting us get in right away whenever we play those creatures. Next up, we have our Tramplers. So Champion of Lambholt is just unblockable, but that's essentially the same thing as Trample. Gore Claw, of course, just making stuff costless is also great. And then Thunderfoot Baloth is a beast in this deck when our commander's out. The problems, Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger, and Wormcoil Engine just present us with two large threats that must be dealt with. And, of course, super tapping our opponent's lands while doubling up our lands even more. Our boys, so Avenger of Zendikar, Mirror Battlesphere, and Rampaging Baloth all allow us to have some extra little dudes out there in the fight for us. Protection spells, Soul of New Phyrexia, Spearbreaker, Behemoth, and Archetype of Endurance are going to give us some indestructibility and some hexproof ability as well, just to protect our commander and our other creatures that we're throwing out there into the wild. Next up, we have Chain It Together. So Temur, Sabertooth, Seedborn Muse, and Nature's Herald here. So basically, Temur Sabertooth is going to allow us to pay 2 to return a creature to our hands. And then we could flash in creatures with Yiva Natural's Herald. And then, of course, use Seedborn Muse to untap all of our permanents. So we're going to be able to untap our lands and then use those lands to bounce stuff back to our hand and then flash them with Nature's Herald to re-trigger all those ETB effects and whatnot. Then we're going to close it out with Enraze Forerunners, Decimator of the Provinces, and Craterhoof Behemoth. Of course, winning the game wouldn't be where I want it to be unless we had some kind of alternate win conditions, which I always like. So we're running Hellkite Tyrant, just if we could ever get up to the 20 artifacts. Kikijiki Zealous combo for an instant win, and Primal Surge just to flop all of our deck onto the battlefield. Of course, we have the haste enabled from our deck flipping over, and we just swing in like that and get the job done from Craterhoof or one of our other Trampler dudes. Alright, let's move on to the lands we're playing in the deck. Starting off with the basics, we're running 4 mountains and 10 forests because we're forest heavy. Then we're going to run some hideaways and some cycle lands, and these right here. We're going to run some dual name lands, so the mountain forest lands. Dual utility. And dual life. Following that up with some ramp lands like Temple of the False God, Woodland, Landscape, and Nykthos, because we are heavy enough green where I think that the pips are going to be enough for Shrine to Nyx to get up there quick. And then we have our Trample and our Tower. Of course, we're running Kessig Wolf Run, just a gruel powerhouse of a land, and of course, Command Tower. Following that up, we have the Ghost Quarter and Scavenger Grounds to deal with graveyards in a troublesome land, along with our fetch lands and Terramorphic and Evolving Wilds. For the Challenge Achievement Trophy for this build, we have the challenge being Shaman of Forgotten Ways. So in one game, kill someone with Shaman of Forgotten Ways by board wiping and then using the formidable ability to take somebody's life to 0 because they don't have any creatures. For the achievement, we have this combo right here where we're going to have in one rotation ETB 4 times. So in one, your turn, your opponent's turn, your opponent's turn, your opponent's turn, get 4 ETBs in that round just to get this achievement. Should be very accomplishable. Pretty sure that's not a word. And then for our trophy in one session, get too many mirrors. So basically, you're going to blink in Mirror Battlesphere enough time to get those artifact creature tokens to 20 and win with Hellkite Tyrant. And you get like a whole night to do that is the point there. Alright, let's wrap it up. Or die. That's going to do it for Nikya. If you know how to say that right, yeah, feel free to let me know. $235 on TCG Player, and the deck list will be in the description below if you want to check out all 100 cards for this build. This 235 is at the time of recording, which is like the last day-ish of Ravnica Allegiance spoiler. So, hey, I appreciate you. Please go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. It'd help me out a lot. I'm Joshua Jones with Good Luck, Have Fun, Magic the Gathering, and I will, I'll see ya.